So good afternoon dear students, welcome once again. Here I am standing before you to explain some of the portion of chapter number 3 history, ruling the countryside. Because we have already completed the chapter, I am going to discuss some of the question answers which are being given in this chapter. So let's begin our session with class 8 history, ruling the countryside, chapter number 3. Okay? Let's see what is the first question of the textbook that states, describe the main features of permanent settlement, right? We have to give all the points, we have to mention the things that we have read in the part permanent settlement. Remember permanent settlement where the revenue was fixed? I have told you that's why we have given the name permanent settlement, right? So here is the answer. In the introductory part I have introduced, in order to get a stable revenue income, in order to get the income, East India Company officials believed that investment in land had to be encouraged and agriculture had to be improved. This led to introduction of permanent settlement in 1793, right? So what is the factor why they have chosen the permanent settlement? To increase the revenue, or so that there will be a flow of income to the company office, right? That's why permanent settlement has been introduced, right? What happens as per according to permanent settlement? By the turns, Rajas and Talukdars were recognized as Jamindars. Remembered? Rajas and Talukdars, they were considered as Jamindars. What was the duty of the Jamindars? To collect the revenue from the peasants. Remembered? Yes, they were made Jamindars. Why they were made Jamindars? So that they can collect the revenue from whom? From the peasants, from the farmers, right? Also they were asked to collect rent from peasants and pay revenue to the company, right? This was the thing which I have already discussed. So these Rajas and Talukdars were made Jamindars. What was the duty of the Jamindars? To collect the rent or to collect the tax from the peasants, and it was felt that this would ensure a regular flow of revenue into company offices, right? Why they have done this? Why the permanent settlement has been brought out? To increase the flow of income in the company offices. At the same time, Jamindars were instructed to invest in improving the land. Remember, Jamindars were instructed to give, or they were encouraged to invest in the land, right? Remember? Yes. And if Jamindars fail to pay the revenue, if Jamindars fail somehow to give the revenue, they lost their Jamindari rights over the land. This was the policy. These are the main features of permanent settlement. If we keep on revising, these are simple things, right? Rajas and Talukdars were made Jamindars. Why they were made Jamindars? What was the work of the Jamindar? To collect the rent from the peasants, right? So this was the thing. Moreover, to ensure that it will give a regular flow of income in the company offices, that's why this has been introduced. And if Jamindars fail to pay the rent, if Jamindar fail to pay the revenue, their Jamindari rights will be taken off. Simple. Very simple it is. If you keep on seeing the things, if you keep on revising the things, all the answers will be cakewalk. All the answers are very simple, very easy. You love to read history, dear. Okay, let's move on with the second question. How was Mahalwari system different from permanent settlement? You have to make a difference in between Mahalwari system and permanent settlement. The best way to point out the difference is in columns here. See how I have made the columns. Mahalwari system and permanent settlement, right? This was done, this was not done, this was not done, this was done in that. So in this way you have to differentiate. So what are the basic differences? The permanent settlement, right now only I have revised the things. Here is a brief of that only, and the difference between the Mahalwari system and the permanent settlement. Okay, so Mahalwari system, it was devised by whom? By Holt Mackenzie. While I was giving you the notes, I have told you who has given the outline or who has devised this Mahalwari system. It was Holt Mackenzie, right? So it was devised by Holt Mackenzie, and when it came into effect in 1822, right? In the year 1822 it came into effect, and Holt Mackenzie, he was the person who has devised this system, right? Moreover, here in case of permanent settlement, it is introduced by Lord Cornwallis. Note it down. It was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793. This is the first difference. When it was introduced, when this was introduced. Who has devised this? Who has introduced this? That means it was introduced by somebody, it was devised by somebody. So here lies the difference between these two, Mahalwari system and permanent settlement. It is very easy, right? Now, who were in charge of collecting the revenue? In case of Mahalwari system, the village headman. I have already told you that village headman were in charge of collecting the revenues, right? And in case of permanent settlement, right now I have told you, the Rajas and Talukdars were made Jamindars. They used to collect the revenue or the tax, right? So in case of Mahalwari system, who used to collect the rent of the revenue? It was village headman. And in case of permanent settlement, it was Rajas, it was Talukdars who were in charge of collecting the revenue. This is another point of difference. Now the third point of difference is the revenue amount of Mahalwari system, mind you, was not fixed. It was not fixed. Remember, the collector went from village to village with a measuring tape, measuring different areas of the village, and as per according to the land, as per according to the area that a village has, a revenue is being collected. Okay, based on the size of the area of the village or based on the size of the village, right? Now in terms of permanent settlement, the revenue amount was fixed. Here revenue amount was fixed, here the revenue amount was not fixed, right? These are the basic differences between Mahalwari system and permanent settlement. Okay, you need to learn who has introduced these things, in which year they have introduced these things, who were in charge of collecting the revenue, and the revenue amount was fixed or not. This is the key factor by which you can easily distinguish between Mahalwari system and permanent settlement. Clear? I think everything is crystal clear here. It is very simple, very easy. Right? Shall we move on to the next question? Give two problems which arose with the new Munro system of fixing revenue. Now, two problems, two reasons, or two problems only you have to give which arose, which comes out, which happened with the new Munro system of fixing revenue. When they have started this Munro system and fixed the revenue, what was the problem with that? Only two problems you have to say, define or write. right? Two problems were, the two problems were, first one is with a desire to increase income from land, revenue officials fixed too high revenue. This was the biggest problem. They fixed too high revenue. Why? Just in a desire, just to, in a wish, just to have a hope to increase income from land. In order to get income from land, the officials, the company officials, the Britishers have fixed too high revenue. That means the revenue was fixed in large amount. That means too high revenue they have fixed to pay for the peasant, for the farmers, right? And the second problem was peasants failed to pay revenue. See, peasants failed to pay the revenue as crop failed in the countryside. So because the crops failed in the countryside, peasants failed to pay the revenue. Okay, and as a result, village became deserted. That means village became empty. Village was completely being evacuated or emptied by the villagers. Why? Because they were unable to pay the revenue. Clear? So these are the two problems. What are the two problems? The first problem is they fixed too high revenue. Okay, the company officials fixed too high revenue. And the second problem was the peasants or the farmers unable to pay the rent. They can't able to pay the tax, can't able to pay the revenue just because the crop got failed. Their crops got destroyed, their crops got failed. Okay, in the countryside, in the village. Countryside means what? Village. And village became deserted and village was being emptied by the peasants, by the farmers or by the workers, by the people over there. Clear? These are the two problems in simple terms. Okay? Try to understand this thing. If you see, these are in easy words here. Should note it down because these are in easy terms, easy words. You feel it very easy to learn the answers. Okay? Clear? Now, what was the next question? Why were ryots reluctant to grow indigo? Ryots, time and again I am telling you, ryots means peasants, right? And why ryots, peasants, reluctant? Here the word reluctant means unwilling, not having a will. Okay? Don't desire to, don't want to. Okay? So why were ryots reluctant, did not want to grow indigo? This was the question. Why they don't want to grow indigo? Just because the planters paid low price for indigo. When they make the indigo to get grow up and when they sell it to the planters or whenever they sell it, they are getting very less income, dear. Obviously, if a farmer grows a crop or if a farmer grows the things in his field, he wants at least affordable money, he wants at least good amount of money for those crops, right? Because he has done too much efforts for growing that crop, and if you don't pay him and if you pay them low price, obviously farmers did not want to grow that crop, isn't it? That is the thing that has happened. The planters paid very low price for indigo. Clear? The second thing was the riots were not in a position to even recover their cost. Earning profit was a far-fetched idea. See, because planters were paying very low price. Okay, so because of that low price, the peasants were not in a position to recover their cost. Remember, they used to do an agreement on the papers before sowing indigo or without, before sowing up of crop. They used to do an agreement as per according to which the planters used to give farmers advance on an interest rate. Right? Remember? Yes. So when they were paid, when planters paid the riots low price, they were not in a position, they were not at all in a situation to even recover their cost. They can't able to recover their cost. They can't able to even come out of that loan. Earning profit was far-fetched idea. Far-fetched idea means very far. Earning profit was the idea which was very far. They were not thinking of making a profit. They were thinking of just somehow clearing up their loan amount or clearing up their interest rate. Right? So can't able to even recover the interest rate. What to thought of the earning profits, right dear? So the condition altogether of the peasant who were growing indigo was very miserable, was very unhelpful. Okay? And why were riots reluctant to grow indigo? Third reason, you might have remembered, after indigo harvest or whenever the indigo grows up in the field, after that the soil fertility goes down, because of which the land could not be used for sowing rice. Right? So this was a complete failure on the part of the peasant. Okay? They were always in a huge loss. I am telling you. That's why they were unwilling, they were reluctant to grow the indigo. Okay, they were not willing, they were not at all in a mood to grow the indigo because of these three reasons. Simple words, every line is clear, every line is very easy. You should revise these things, you should keep on reading these things time and again. It will be at the tip of your tongue. Okay? Right? Shall we move on? Shall we proceed on? Now the question comes, what were the circumstances? Circumstance means condition or situation. So what were the circumstances which led to collapse, eventual collapse, or you can say collapse. Eventual means event. The word eventual comes from event, which led to event collapse or which led to eventual collapse of indigo production in Bengal. The word collapse means destroyed, gone. Okay? And in what are the factors? What are the conditions? The word circumstance means situation, or you can say condition. Okay, so what were the circumstances which led to eventual collapse? What are the situations that lead to the collapse of indigo production in Bengal? Okay, what are the conditions which led to collapse of indigo production, which made the indigo crop get destroyed? Okay, in the first thing, the ryots refused to grow indigo. This was the first point here. The ryots were refused, they were not liking, they didn't like to grow indigo. Why? Because I have just described why. Because of certain reasons. They were not getting good cost. Number one thing, after the plantation of indigo, after the indigo plantation, they can't able to show even the rice also. Right? Their soil got less fertile. Right? So the ryots refused to grow indigo. Right? Now they were supported by village headman and some jamindars. See, these ryots, farmers, peasants refused to grow indigo. They were supported by the jamindars and village headman because they also started believing that if they will grow indigo, there is no profit for peasants. Then why should they grow the indigo? Isn't it? Yes. Now, the protest means opposition. The protest was so much, the protest grew so much because they were reluctant to grow indigo. They didn't like to grow indigo. So the protest was so much that government has to intervene. Intervene means come into action, or they came in between the protest. Okay, the protest was so much by the peasants that the government also came in between. Government also intervened. Right? The Indigo Commission set up as a result. Right? So the Indigo Commission set up to inquire into problem, to know the problem. Here the word inquire means to know. That means Indigo Commission set up to know the problem. The commission accepted the faults of planters. After query, this commission also accepted the fact, also accepted the fault of planters, that they were not giving right amount to the peasant, to the farmers. Moreover, they are taking huge benefit over those farmers, over the ryots, right? And allowed ryots, and this commission allowed the ryots to grow whatever they wish. See, the Indigo Commission also, when they inquired about the matter, they got to know that these planters were not doing a fair work with the ryots, with the peasants, and as a result, they have also declared, they have also allowed the peasant, the farmer, the ryots to grow whatever they wish. That means peasants are free. If they want to grow rice, they can grow rice. If they wish to grow wheat, they can grow wheat. Okay. This led to collapse of indigo production. All these circumstances, all these happenings led to collapse of the indigo production. Clear? Yes. Now, let's go on with some additional questions so that you got to know how much you have understood the chapter. Okay, dear? So, here comes some of the additional questions. Are you ready? When was the Diwani of Bengal granted to East India Company? Remember, dear, when I was teaching you the chapter, the first line of my log notes, in year dash, I have given you a date also. Remembered? On that day, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company or the company officials the Diwani. Right? They have given the Diwani rights, isn't it? So when was Diwani of Bengal was granted to East India Company? East India Company, isn't it? Have you remembered? Yes? Yes, very good. Now coming on to another question here. What was status of Diwan? What was the work of the Diwan? What do you mean by the term Diwan? If they were made the Diwan of Bengal, if company officials were made Diwan, what was their work? Remembered, I have also discussed this question also. What was the status of Diwan? They became the revenue officer, the revenue collector of whole province, of whole area. They became a financial administrator, isn't it? Yes. So they serve, they do their duty, they serve as chief revenue officer of the province. See, they became chief revenue officer, they became financial administrator of the province. Province means kingdom, area, zone, anything you can say. Okay, so what was the status of Diwan? They serve as chief revenue officer, CRO, chief revenue officer of the province, of the area. Clear? Question is very easy. Now another question is, who introduced Mahalwari system and where? Just I have right now only I have discussed the Mahalwari system. Who devised it? Yes, it's called Mackenzie. Okay, and where? In which area it was developed? It was developed in Bengal. Holt Mackenzie devised it in northwestern province of Bengal presidency. That means in the northwestern area of Bengal. Okay, presidency is the word used for zone, for area. Okay, so it was in the northwestern zone of Bengal. It was introduced, and who devised it? It was none other than Holt Mackenzie. Okay, clear? Yes. Shall we move on with the another question? Additional question? Here comes the question. Who collects the revenue in permanent settlement? I think everybody knows the answer of this question. Who collects the revenue in permanent settlement? Permanent settlement I have discussed earlier. Right now only I have discussed, right? So who collected it? It was Rajas and Talukdars. Yes, very good. Rajas and Talukdars, who were considered as Jamindars. They used to collect it, right? Either you can write Rajas and Talukdars, or else you can write Zamindars, because these Rajas and Talukdars were made Zamindars, right? So these are having the duty of collecting the revenue. Okay, clear? Here comes the next question here. What were the two major systems of indigo cultivation? Have you remembered two major systems of indigo cultivation? Yes, it was Nij and Rioti. I have explained you, right? Nij and Rioti. What happens in Nij plantation? The farmers, the peasant, used to grow up the indigo in their own land, or land being rented from zamindars, right? And what happens in Rioti? Peasant has to sign a contract or an agreement with the planters. Remembered? Yes. So these are the two major systems of indigo cultivation. Clear? Now, what was outcome of Blue Rebellion? Blue Rebellion took place, right? Blue Rebellion, Indigo Rebellion, because the color of the indigo is blue. That's why the name has came out as Blue Rebellion. Remembered? Yes. Now, what was the outcome? What was the final result of Blue Rebellion there? The collapse of indigo plantation in Bengal. Okay? So this was the outcome. Outcome means final consequence or the result. So indigo plantation collapsed in Bengal. Right? So these are some of the additional questions, important questions, which were very useful for objective questions. Right? Now down your homework, dear. Learn question answer of chapter, first homework. Then you have two questions. What was status of Diwan and what were the circumstances, condition which led to the eventual collapse of indigo production in Bengal. This was the thing. Okay. What are the situations that led to the eventual collapse of indigo plantation or production in Bengal? These are your homeworks. Note it down clearly. Do it in your homework copy. Okay. And be serious towards your studies because it's a high time for you. Time and again I am telling you, dear, keep on studying, keep on continuing your efforts because these studies will make you to grow higher in your life, right? So till we are going to meet for the next time, it's goodbye from my side. Have a nice day, have a wonderful day, enjoy with your family, stay at home, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.